Okay, it's Saturday. Time to feed the worms. Under here is where the worms are feeding, and here is a lot of my dry stuff. So that's what this is to keep the part where all the worms are wet, and then this is ready to be fed, and so we're gonna keep it dry. We're actually gonna do some harvesting today. So you can see as I'm going through here, it's nice and fluffy with no worms in it, which is great. So I can sort of take a look through here. It's kind of exactly what I want. Boom. Right. So every week I sort of just come through. I do sort of a flow through system where I feed on this side and I harvest on this side. Every week I come through, or I have two systems, so I come through one of them every week. So every other week I come through each system. And I just fluff it up, make sure nothing's gone anaerobic, check on the worms. You can see I've got all the finished castings here with no worms. So it makes it very easy to harvest when I'm ready. Boom, look at that. Oh, I saw like a tiny little baby worm. This is like the first worm I've seen in here. All right, I'm gonna pull a couple of these done ones out. All right, I can go all the way down to the bottom now. Just fluff it up. Just check out the results of all my work. That's perfect. Yeah, so the cover on here lets these dry out. Because it's a little bit drier, the worms don't like it as much. So it's a lot easier to come in and harvest. And you can see now I'm in the part that was covered up. And even though these are still also mostly done, they're a little bit more moist, so you can see some worms still hanging out in there. So that's a key reason to have sort of a part that's a little bit more moist and a little part that you can dry out a little bit. So here's the stuff that's mostly done but with some worms. So now I'm going to put it up on the top to dry out. Good. And now I'm going to get into the stuff where there's a lot more worms. This is the fun stuff. I get to check on my worms now, break up all the clumps so they stay nice and oxygenated.
Oxygenated?
Oxygenated? Yeah, there we go. So this is a little bit more effort than some of the systems, but I really like it because I can check on my worms every week. And it just takes a couple of minutes each week. I can see how they're doing. I like it. I like to be able to see them, check on them. Alright. It looks like most of the big chunks through the middle have all been broken down, which is great. So now we're going to get into where we fed last week. 2 weeks ago. And so here there might be still some food. Oh yeah, there's some of the greens. We fed them a mango, so here's the pit. This is actually, a lot of this stuff is actually from 4 weeks ago. They hadn't broken a lot of the big mangoes. We fed them down. And so, sorry about that. So we still have some mango pits in here. I might pull these out eventually. I don't know if they'll break down. Got some carrots, some celery.
You also only have 2 minutes.
Alright, there we go. I think there's a few, not quite as many worms in here. I mean, there's a lot of worms in here, but not quite as many as my other systems, so they take a little longer to do. Let it break down. All right, always add in more bedding. So we just shred up Amazon boxes and stuff. We add those in. And then we add our coffee grounds in. Just gotta break those up. Because if they stay as a puck, then worms can't get to them. And then lastly, just some of our cuttings from cooking throughout the week. And someone gave us some guavas, and we didn't quite get to all of them before they went. So this will be a project. This is a big feed, so we'll experiment and see how long it takes to throw. I'm actually gonna burst these open a little bit. It's a little gross, but that helps them get to it. And then add a little bit more of this, a little bit more bedding, and then just cover them back up, and we're good to go. All right, until next week.